like heavy JavaScript. So, yeah. So I'm not Jérôme Vouillon. Jérôme Vouillon did JS of OKML. I'm just a user, a heavy user, but since he is not here, someone has to talk about this. So I'm part of the Oxygen team, and we do a lot of JS, generative JS. So JS of OKML is a Camel bytecode to JavaScript compiler. So the interest of this approach, instead of compiling directly Camel to JavaScript, or what we did before was having an interpreter written in JavaScript, is that it is easy to use. We don't have to have a separate code base in compiled with another compiler. We just compile directly with OCaml-C, then we translate it to JavaScript. So it's quite easy to use existing code. For instance, you can use your Debian package and just sudo aptitude install batteries and then use batteries. We don't have much dependencies, so it's easy to install. You just need the core LWT to run the libraries, and that don't depend on anything, just the part that is only in OCaml. So yes, to use, you just call the compilers on some compiled app and linked with some JS you used for your bindings. And yes, the last interesting thing is that we don't have to maintain really the compiler when OCaml evolves. The bytecode really don't evolve that much in Camel, so it should stay that way for many years, and when it will change, it will be very easy to adapt our compiler. So yeah, it's to show how easy. My window manager is not that easy. Yeah. So just see how is it possible to
unfortunately not.
So if you can read, it just use React to do stupid thing and do printf. So printf is not available in JavaScript, and we want that code to compile easily in JavaScript. We do so compile. Just do that. It's just link. In fact, there is no need to link with JS of OCaml in that sample. So that gives us if you can. So here he's saying that we need some stubs defined in C that we don't have now. So we just write them in JavaScript. It's quite easy to mimic. So here he wants the weak things, and he wants ML putcar for printf. ML putcar, we just mimic that by putting some code in the web page. it's one method to emulate that, but we could also write it in the log page. So the interest of not binding that by default is that you can put your printf where you want, just logging what user want. For instance, if you are on a web server, you could upload the log generated by the client to see what happened wrong. And I lost my... Here, so the web page is quite simple. It just includes the JavaScript generated. And yet I forgot to recompile. So now he is happy. And well, that's write something that was supposed to be returned to the page. So it's easy to use. That's the main idea. So, and it's easy to bind. So that's the method I used to for this example. When you have some code which depends on C bindings, you can write the same bindings in JavaScript. You just do what you used to do, but it's easier than when you write C bindings, since JavaScript has its garbage collector. JS of OCaml is using it, so you don't have to manage memory or things like that. Just write your code, and the representation is quite the same in JS of OCaml as in OCaml. When you have a block, it just is an array with the first value being the tag of the block. So, but the main interest is that when you write your code yourself, you want to use the things that exist in JavaScript. You don't have to write JavaScript to bind. You can do everything in OCaml. It's easier and cleaner. So, for instance, when you want to access some objects, you just declare the type of the object. So, for instance, a window object in the browser is the main thing, and you can access. You have a method on it to pop up things, which is alert, and you just declare the type. And when you will use the method, it will just call a method with that name. You don't have to do anything else, and it will call the alert method. The generated code for that is quite clean. You just have window.alert. So if you want to access a variable in JavaScript, you have to tell its type. So the JS variable, you say that variable exists, use it, and it has that type. So the type of that is a string to alpha. Yeah. I think I forgot Windows ## ici. Yeah. So that's the way to access properties of JavaScript objects. So when you want to read the value, you just do that. And when you want to modify, you use the classical syntax for doing that. So that is Comet P4. In fact, it calls some function behind who does that with the name of the method. So you can access classic constructor with JSNew. It just calls the constructor the way JavaScript is supposed to do. So it's also Camel P4. And yeah, we can access almost almost everything that is available in JavaScript, and we don't have the problem with overloading, since in JavaScript there is overloading everywhere. They do quite ugly stuff with the parameters of function. For instance, in JavaScript you can check the number of parameters, their type, and do things depending on that. So you don't want to do this in OCaml, so you declare multiple methods for the same object with the types you will be using, and the underscore is ignored, and what is after the underscore just dropped. So the two methods here will call the log method of the object console, and it will do the same thing but with different types. So of course you have to be careful with the type declaration as when you do bindings, but when it's done, you don't have to do anything to use it specially. Yes, there is also the problem with variables which can be used with multiple types, not only methods. So just transtype them and it works. You can do callbacks, of course. It's quite easy since we have the same memory management in JavaScript and in OCaml. You just translate a function to a JavaScript function. In fact, it's the same implementation, it just takes the parameters differently. So it calls stubs before and just do the OCaml code. It's efficient. You don't have to do stupid thing to allocate closure and things like that. So yeah, in JavaScript they usually do really ugly stuff with undefined. For instance, when you want to check if some method is available in your browser, you call the method and it will tell it's undefined, do something else. So we can do that. You just have to annotate your type with updef, which tells that it's something that can be translated to a camel option, and checking if the thing is undefined. So you can do safe things. If you want to do unsafe things, you can also forget the annotation and do things that will sometimes crash. But it's in a browser, it's not a problem usually. And you can do more ugly stuff. JavaScript exception, OCaml exceptions are implemented using JavaScript exceptions. So you can use, you can catch the JavaScript exception using OCaml. It's not the classical way of catching, since there is no variant or clean things in JavaScript to do some optimization to get exception. So when you catch something, you get a value and you check if the value is what you want. So we must do the same thing. And to do that, we have to translate something to the type exception and check the equality. So some option may come here, but Xavier is not here, it's possible. It's possible to do this the other way. I don't know why you want to do, why someone would want to do this, since you would have to write JavaScript code. But it's possible to catch exception. And you have to check if the value is a block, and if the value contained in the block is a right string. So Raphael is presenting you an example which shows that you don't have to write JavaScript to bind JavaScript.
Okay, just need a little help with the window manager, but I'll present rapidly a little game. It's a real case example of what can be done as with using an already existing JavaScript library, and this is okay. Never mind the little patch here. It's using a vector graphics library, and we have things like the already exposed js.t, js.prop. It means that it's a readable, writable field, and that's a class type that we declare. Other class type here that allow us to access an object with a field attribute and with method animate and click. And using these class types is really easy. We can have here we have a constructor that just makes a function call in JavaScript that is accessed by a camel function. So this is this allows us to obtain a paper object. The region time is paper.js.t, and we can use this in a game to. So I'll skip the boring part, constant of the game, and here is an example of using the paper object. So as said before, the two pound signs allow us to access the methods, and it merged quite easily with standard OCaml code, and there is no real problem with syntax and all this. Okay. We can. So this is also a method, and we can access the properties, the JavaScript properties of an object, modify them using this. Here we modify an object, and then we use the object in a method call, and all this just works. And so I don't know how to switch. Okay, and soon a brother with not here, here. Okay, and so we end up with a game in just a few lines of code. You can test it. It's on GitHub if you want to download it and skip all the other talks. So here it is.
So the last part is that is cool. You can do things easily. You don't have to write JavaScript at all. But what is more cool is that it's fast. If I can find, yeah, it's really fast. When tested with good JSON engine, it's faster than OCaml. Usually faster. When you do heavy exception things, it becomes slower since JavaScript exceptions are quite lame. But in other cases, it's quite good. And well, got some examples. And so V8 is usually good and faster than OCaml. The others are less good. Other thing is that JIT engine are good, but how good is generated code? And it's good also since that is a comparison to unwritten code, and it's usually as fast and sometimes faster, since you have some ugly stuff going behind to do some optimization. You won't do by hand. And well, so it generates good codes. It is not readable, of course, but well, usually when you have JavaScript in a web page, it's not readable at all since it's compressed and things like that. And moreover, it's small. So when you have a web page, it's good that your code go fast, but you also want that upload is fast. And JS of OCaml has a quite good dead code elimination. So much of the libraries, when they don't do side effects, of course, when they do side effects to initialize, the compiler can't check if it is used or not. But in other case, the code just disappears, and so that's the size of the source code, the size of the bytecode. In yellow, it's the size of the generated JS code, and here is the overhead, the size of the part before the JS code to initialize it. So, of course, in small codes, it's quite fast. It's quite good compared to that. And it works quite well also on big projects. For instance, Oxygen Server has been converted to JavaScript. Well, it's useless. There isn't the binding and things like that. But, well, it's smaller than the generated code is smaller than the bytecode. But, well, you can't get rid of all the overhead since there is a lot of initialization of variables doing imperative stuff. So it could be better if there wasn't that much imperative things. But, well, if you want to try to port the end of Oxygen to your browser, it could be fun. So, yeah, there are limitations, of course. There are things that don't exist in JavaScript. So, for instance, JavaScript engine does not have type calls. They could do, but they don't do that because, I don't know, JavaScript, people who write JavaScript don't do recursive things.
It's in the next version of the JavaScript standard. It was just accepted as a proposal a few weeks ago. Property equals.
Okay, so cool.
It's going to be good for you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's still possible to do some recursive things. So there is an optimization to transform recursive function to for loop, but we don't have multiple function optimization when there are multiple mutually recursive functions. So I think that Fabrice Lefessant has something for that, but well, it's not here yet. Not that much a problem. The JavaScript, the Java binding has the same problem, and if you want to circumvent it another way, it's also possible to do. It's also possible other ways, but it's quite slow. So it's the approach of OCaml.js, and I think it is one of the problems of OCaml.js. So another, of course, there is no dim link. It depends on some ugly base of OCaml. It would be possible to do things like that, but I'm not sure it's interesting. There is no binding for big array or num. It could be possible, just not done. Big arrays, not sure the interest, it would be quite slow. Num, it would be much big JavaScript to write to have num working. And I don't know if someone would want to do that thing in Browser. So, also there is no str module. So there is not the C backend. It's replaced by some JS regex things. which are much faster and cleaner than the STR module of OCaml. So, well, use that instead. When you have code that use STR, it may be possible to translate to that. There is also a problem with function methods with a strange name. For instance, in JavaScript you can do almost anything you want with Unicode in the method name. It's quite a problem in OCaml since, of course, your code must be in Latin 1. So it can be circumvented by calling by end the function using a string as identifier of the method. It's not it's ugly, but well, possible. But I don't think anyone do some have some Greek letters in their method names. So yeah, as for now, there is not yet implementation for recursive modules. It could come. And JavaScript has no weak pointers. There is no way to do that in JavaScript. So weak pointers are just pointers. So there could be memory leak when using React, for instance. But well, it's a web browser. Memory leaks are not problems there. The browser is already leaking, so. And there is a problem when you build some code with custom, since you don't have the bytecode easily available. So it's a problem with the core version of Debian, the libcore. I think it must be linked with custom. It's not that. I think if you build the libraries by hand, you can circumvent that. So yes, it's a really cool thing. We have the top level. If I can find my notes. Any questions?
What version of ECMAScript are you targeting?
Don't know. So, things that works in browsers now. We don't have strict things. I think you could use. You could just add strict to the function and it would work. I didn't check. It could be added to the compiler, I think.
I'm not sure I understand. Is that translated into JavaScript, or is that the JavaScript top level interpreting OCaml?
It's OCaml top level compiled to JavaScript, and it's not doing directly dynamic. It's just doing some restricted version of dynamic. So it is compiling JavaScript to bytecode and converting the bytecode to not JavaScript, the thing written there to. So yes, it's slow, but there is a top level.
Is it practical to use JS of OCaml to define a library that can be used from native JavaScript?
I didn't try. I don't know why you would want to do this. But no, it would be difficult. There isn't anything now for doing that. If you have in your JavaScript code some variables already available where you write your function or thing like that, then later you could call that. It would be possible. It would be quite ugly.